Thank you everyone for returning to our event today. We have yet another phenomenal speaker, and her name is Lenka Kaloma. She's from Czechoslovakia. Not that long in this country, and she's going to tell her story. She does a lot of things. She has a Right to Breathe agency, which is doing amazing work, which we're definitely going to talk about today. She also has an organization that is named Become Supernatural, basically, right? That's what your goal is.
It's called Lenka Kaloma Method, and the program is called Unleash the Supernatural. Yes.
Yes, and become more than what you ever thought you could be, right? And develop your full potential, body, spirit, mind, and every aspect of being a human being. And so she does that work. She got into that work and had been doing that work when the pandemic struck, right? And then when the pandemic struck, then you kind of changed gears because of the conditions and of what you saw. And that goes back to what happened in Czechoslovakia. So tell us about, your story in terms of coming here from Czechoslovakia, and what was that?
Well, first of all, thank you, Clyde, so much for having me on your program. It's such a privilege and honor. Yes, so I was born and raised in Czechoslovakia, and that's all I knew. And then one day I met this gentleman from America, and he told me about this land where you can build a career, have a job, buy a house, buy a car, have all this freedom. And it was almost like he portrayed heaven to me. And so in that moment, I knew that I will one day go to that land and experience this American dream. So I escaped communist Czechoslovakia 30 years ago. I came to America after a long struggle to come here because, the immigration process is not easy at all. It's long, lengthy, it's very expensive process, but I came to America 30 years ago. I became naturalized American citizen. So it's very actually important to mention that I had to take an oath. I had to take an oath that I will uphold and defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is why the Constitution is so dear to my heart. But 30 years ago, when I came here, I was super excited to come to America and start building my career. I became very successful entrepreneur and corporate executive. And I'm truly walking and talking example of the American dream, that you can come to this land with literally nothing. I had $10 to my name. I had no credit cards, no friends.
How old were you?
I was 19.
Wow.
I was 19. I came by myself. And I remember it was funny because a lot of people were looking at me, well, like, how do you want to make it here? And I came as a nanny. So I was nanny at the beginning. And I just knew that if you work hard and you are dedicated and you put effort into something, you can accomplish a lot. And so that's exactly what I did. I got into a high-tech field, and I worked myself pretty much from secretary into becoming vice president of Fortune 500 companies, traveling the world, you name it. But very quickly, I started to feel something very familiar, that I actually escaped. And so I started to look into our education system, into our food supply, into our governmental system, into our healthcare system and everything. And I started to recognize that we have big problems in this country. And it was like entering this rabbit hole. And the deeper I was going, the more I was discovering. It was literally like peeling an onion. You peel off one layer, and there is another one, and there is another one, and yet another one. And I started to discover, oh my, we have pretty deep corruption and level of deceit on our hands. And so I wanted to tell everyone, and we are talking some 20 years ago, but everyone was looking at me like I came from a different planet. Life was good in America. No one could really see it. So I was labeled conspiracy theorist, anti-American. People were very upset with me. They wanted me to go back to where I came from. So I had to zip it. I had to zip it, which was extremely excruciating actually process for me, because I knew how people are being lied and deceived, and yet no one could truly see it. So for 20 years, I had to remain silent. But then when actually when 9/11 hit, I was hoping, okay, now is it the time now to wake up, America? No, it wasn't really. So we went back to sleep. And then when COVID-19 came about, I knew that this is the time.
Yeah.
And so that's also where I started our nonprofit organization called Freedom to Breathe Agency, FTBA,
Right.
which you can really consider it's the constitutional law enforcement kind of team, where we are teaching people their constitutional rights. We are helping them to overcome the oppression and tyranny they are experiencing. We are working with our sheriffs. We are working with the society and our citizens to really help them to break through this tyranny and everything we
Right.
are going on through this whole pandemic.
Right. And the sheriff is really key, isn't it? Because the sheriff can do what Sheriff Jesse Watt, who I just interviewed last night, and he read me into our audience. He read the 4-page pages that he had statement that he made to his board of supervisors
Yes.
in the county, stating that he was not going to follow any of the mandates of the governor, that he was going to protect the constitutional rights of his citizens, that is what he saw his job as, because he was elected by them. And his role as sheriff, as the supreme law enforcement officer of the county, is to enforce the constitutional rights of his citizens. And so that anything the governor said, that was illegal or unconstitutional was not going to happen in his county. Any OSHA or any other agency, state or federal, that tried to come in and say people had to wear masks or shut down their restaurants, he would protect them. And the supervisors passed it unanimously. And his county is a no lockdown, no mask, no COVID anything county. And the people are very happy there, and they're going on with their lives as normal free Americans should be going on with their lives, unrestricted in any way. And that's the sheriff. That's the power of the sheriff. That's an example, right? That's the example we want.
Yes. Sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer in every county. And we have to remember that he's elected by we, the people, and we pay them very nice salary to make sure that they are basically helping us to secure our freedom and personal liberty. So there is no governmental overreach. So what's happening across America, and especially here in Southern California for us here, is that the corporation are using the coercion, intimidation by imposing these unlawful and criminal mandates that are coming from the governor, which are completely unconstitutional. Governor does not have the legislative power to create a law, so they are confusing and bamboozling the public into making them believe that there is such thing as a mask law, as a social distancing, as isolation, as lockdowns. None of that is true.
Yeah, those are edicts, those are mandates, they're not law. The legislature of the states have not passed any laws on these things. And so these are things that are
never will.
Yeah.
And Clyde never will. You know why? Because it's repugnant to the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. We have to remember that the Constitution guarantees our right to life, liberty, property, and pursuit of happiness. So what is property? It's not only our home, but also our body. So no one has jurisdiction over our body to tell us what to do, what to wear, where to stand, how to behave. None of that. This is our responsibility. Health is our responsibility, not the government. The government's job is to ensure that we have the freedom and personal liberty to pursue.
It's so interesting to hear you talk and the enthusiasm you have for our Constitution, and you weren't born here. And I think when you're born here, like I was, and most of the people listening right now, we never had to take an oath to the Constitution. We just assume that we're going to have the same freedoms and the same, amount of prosperity and everything that our generations before us have had. And that's just not true. It's
No.
not true. Every generation has to fight for that freedom and to make sure that it's maintained, so that their future generations don't lose it. And so that's what's happening right now. This is it. We are in that battle. Don't you agree?
Guys, and I want everyone to know that we are at very important crossroads, because these globalists that are trying to take over our bodies, our spirit, to turn us into literally their subjects, their slaves. Well, that already kind of happened, but now it's in a physical form, physical enslavement. It's actually through mind control that people are enslaving themselves voluntarily. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is for me to see people driving by themselves in a car wearing a muzzle. And that's what it is. It's a muzzle. It's a psychological tool of oppression and stripping people of their identity, of their personality, of their freedom to speak. And these people are voluntarily enslaving themselves, thinking that it's for the greater of us, of the good of us all, which is absolutely insane. Or people jogging in a park, people working out wearing these muzzles. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And people lining up like the obedient peasants they are in front of stores on stickers. Yet you can sit on a plane next to each other and it's fine.
Yeah.
And so what we need to do is we are waking America up and bringing truth back to them, bringing law and showing them what this government has been doing for the past 200 plus years, literally stripping us of our freedoms and personal liberty. And now we are at the very edge of it, Now is really fight for our country, for our republic, that we have to activate again.
Right. So
Because
let's start with telling people what you do when you go into, you and your group, you go in with other people a lot of times, right? And you go into a store, and how do you engage? What's the conversation like, and how does that work?
Okay, so I've been doing it since pretty much it started, the masking mandates. And in California, it's bad. It's really, really bad. We have literally masked Nazis, and that's what they are. These store workers and managers, it's like a newly gained power they have over the people to boss them around. So when I walk into the store, first of all, I greet everyone, and they approach me and they tell me, ma'am, you have to wear a mask. And I tell them, no, I don't, but thank you so much. And I proceed, but they go after me, right? They go after me because it's the law. You cannot imagine how many times I've been told that the mask is the law. So I always ask them, please show me the law. Tell me the law. Tell me the number. Show me the law. But the latest strategy, which is the most powerful, is because you have to remember, here in California, we have incidents where mothers go shopping without being muzzled and they get arrested for exercising their constitutional rights, because our law enforcement is not educated on the law. They are educated on edicts, codes, and statutes, which many times are repugnant to the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution. And unfortunately, it's done on purpose. I hate to say it, but it's done on purpose, because we have to remember we are dealing with system that is not to protect our freedoms and our rights, but to protect the ruling class.
So Lenka, when you go into one of these stores and you do your initial confrontation, what are you expecting it to lead to? What do you want it to lead to? And how does it work out?
Okay, so when I go to stores, I expect to get my groceries or the service I'm going there for. I walk in peaceful manner, always smiling, always happy. I don't harass anyone. But when people start coming at me and are harassing me and trespassing on my rights, I'm going to stand up for my rights,
Right.
because that's my duty. I have to do that. So The latest strategy is, because we've been using all kinds of things, and after 1 year, all these interactions with the managers, the storm Nazis, the law enforcement, we have to remember that the law enforcement is called for criminal acts, right? When crime is committed, which in California is under penal codes. So anyone, as I mentioned, anyone who is pushing mask onto a person is practicing medicine without a license, and this is illegal, unlawful in every state of America. So in California, it's California Penal Code 2052. So I inform the mask Nazi, the store manager, the worker, that they are committing crimes, that committing actually 2 crimes. And I inform them that if they continue, now they knowingly and willingly are committing the crime. I usually ask for their manager to come, because I know that they are just doing their job, and they unknowingly are acting, in
Illegally,
illegally,
Yeah.
unlawfully.
Mhm.
And so I ask for the manager comes, I go through the same procedure, explaining them what they are doing, and that now they know and they need to stop. And if they don't stop, now they knowingly and willingly are committing crime, for which I need to call law enforcement.
Mhm.
And this is when we call law enforcement and get the deputies, sheriff's deputies, to come in, and you can actually do private person's arrest, because this person is committing a crime, which is it's a criminal felony in California and in most states, to practice medicine without a license, even if person doesn't get hurt. And this is how I explain it also to the law enforcement, is because they say, well, nothing happened, how can you call it crime? I'm like, no, officer, you do not know. These people, first of all, are not my doctor. They do not know my medical history. Let's say I am a person who has cancer, who has asthma, and who also has PTSD. Because I need to get food for my children, now I am being coerced and forced to put on mask on. I put a mask on and I go into panic shock, because that's how my body will react in the combination of all the health conditions I'm dealing with. If and I lose consciousness and I fall on the floor. If I'm lucky, I break my leg. If I am less lucky, I might break my spine. If I am very unlucky, I might hit my head and I die. Now, officer, how are you going to bring justice to my children? And this is where the awakening happens, right? Now they realize, and not to mention is that the face mask is a medical device by the FDA. It's designated as medical device by the FDA. So anyone who is pushing a mask on a person, they do not know their medical history, and they are prescribing medical device, medical treatment, which is a felony.
Without a license.
Without a license, that's correct.
All right,
And
so then what? So that you get that, the law enforcement officer understands what you're saying, that person understands, then what happens?
well, usually I get my shopping done. Many times I also had to just leave the cash on the counter, because they refuse to process my shopping. So I just put calculate the amount, put the cash. But lately they've been allowing me to process my shopping. And then if the store managers continue in their unlawful acts, I'm pressing charges.
Mhm. Okay. And
Unfortunately.
that's where the affidavit comes in, right?
No, this is actually directly with the sheriff's department.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, you can also get these people arrested right on the spot.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you have a law enforcement officer that will do that, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Because you have to remember, they've been doing exactly the opposite.
Right.
They've been arresting people, mothers and fathers, who've been exercising their constitutional rights for trespassing. You see, we have so many court rulings. One of them is Miller versus United States, that you cannot convert exercise of your constitutional rights into a crime. And there are cases after cases. So your constitutional rights are guaranteed to you by the supreme law, which is the Constitution, no matter what emergency, no matter what bacteria is in the air, no matter what virus is in the air, your constitutional rights are not suspended. They are there always.
Right. Very, very good. Oh, that's it's very inspiring to see people doing that. How many people do you have in your group that are actually doing these things?
We are a nationwide movement now, and we are also, as you mentioned, we are using the affidavits, going to the source of the problem. So we stop these health officers and these board supervisors, because that's how these unlawful edicts are being executed in our counties.
So
So
those are the target. Those are the people that are the target of your affidavit.
that's right. That's right. And we have to remember that every public servant, they took an oath that they will uphold and defend the Constitution that guarantees your rights. And their job is to ensure that your rights are not trespassed on, that they are not violated, right? So anyone who is pushing these unlawful edicts and is not stopping it from coming from the governor or wherever it's coming from, now they are perjuring their oath, they are violating due process of law, and they are harming the community, children, families, businesses.
Right.
And so we hold them responsible to that. We hold them responsible and liable to their oath under these affidavits, which are declarations of truth under personal oath of the person who is filing them, for which they have to be based on truth, fact, law, and evidence, because these affidavits based on oath are under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Right.
Of the state.
So you have to make sure that everything on there is true, right? And then if they don't respond, then they've basically admitted that what you've said is true and factual.
Absolutely.
And then and that's when, now is that at the point like where you would place some kind of a lien on them, or a fine or something like that, or how does it work?
Well, you can take it to the civil matter, where you can go after them in civil capacity. But what we are creating here is we are creating pressure on the foundation of the system. So we actually take it to the second step, when we advise all of their supervisors and oversight personnel that their employee, the health officer or the board of supervisor, committed perjury of their oath and violated due process of law and caused harm. And now we hold those supervisors up to their oath, because now they have to uphold and defend the Constitution under their oath. And when they don't correct the situation by removing this public servant, now they are part of the crime, part of warring against the Constitution, the Republic, and we the people. So now we take it to the third step, to the next level, where now we file a complaint affidavit under oath with the sheriff. And this is what's important, because now we are basically bringing evidence to the sheriff's desk, and we are piling sheriff's desk with not 1 or 2 or 10 affidavits, but with hundreds of affidavits, to let them know that, Mr. Sheriff, you have domestic enemy in your county. And because you took an oath that you will uphold and defend the Constitution, you need to now go and help to remove them, because they are not stepping down by themselves, even though it's mandated by the law. Because once a person, public servant, perjures their oath, they are invoking self-executing Section 3 and 4 of the 14th Amendment, and they have to vacate their position. They have to forfeit their salary and pension, because they are no longer serving the community and we the people who pay them.
Right.
You see?
Right. Now,
very powerful.
Has anything gone that far yet?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we have now hundreds of these affidavits at many of the sheriffs. Our just in southern part of California, we have over 1,500 affidavits served as of beginning of April 2021.
Wow.
And and the community is waking up. We are giving people powerful tools how to fight back with this
Right.
tyranny. We are teaching people how to stand up for their rights, how to defend their children, their businesses, because all of these things that the government is pushing onto the local communities is unlawful. It's criminal.
Yeah. So you are a frontline warrior in this fight.
Yes, I
And
am.
I'd like
Yes,
to
I
ask
am.
you a question here. We're nearing our time. What do you think? What do you see in terms of people waking up to this? Are people, you sense that there's a shift going on, that people are getting tired of the masks? They're getting tired of
Yes.
being told what to do. Do you
Yeah.
do?
Yeah,
Tell me about
I
it.
really, I wish that it was in larger numbers, but I think with everything going on and how dark and
Right.
kind of difficult it might seem, this is an opportunity.
Right.
Because remember, we always have to be hurting before we take an action, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people need to
Unfortunately.
experience. Unfortunately, we could have done it 50 years ago or 20 years ago when I was talking about it, right?
Right.
We didn't have to let it come to this point, and it will only continue until we are ready to stand up and say, I had enough.
Yeah.
I had enough.
Yeah. No, if we don't, we'll be chipped just like our pet dogs, and
Yes,
and they'll be able to totally control us and tell us where we're going to go, what we can eat. We have a vaccine passport. You won't be able to go anywhere. You'll have these like the social programs that they have in China now, where if you don't behave in a certain way, you
that's
can't
right.
you can't use your bank, you can't drive your car, all these
That's
things.
right.
So that's what they're definitely going toward. That's where they want to go. And people need to wake up really quickly. You got to, people, the whole left right thing has to be done away with. People have to realize that what that whole thing is about is divide and conquer. The
That's right.
media is designed, what they're doing right now, and they've been doing for the last couple of years, is even longer, really, but really stepped up in the last couple of years. They're trying to make people hate each other, black versus
Yeah.
white, Democrat versus Republican, liberal versus conservative, old against young. It is any way that they can divide us, they're
And don't
dividing.
forget religion. Don't forget organized religion.
Sure, of course. Your religion or everything is designed to divide us so they can conquer us. I actually saw in Delray Beach, where they have this area where the farmers markets, and then there's an area where there's a big stage and they have concerts, and they actually brought in what looks like cattle gates, steel cattle gates, and they have chutes, they have like aisles, and then they have a little area within enclosed steel thing where you can sit. And
Wow.
I saw that, and I told my
Yep.
wife, I said, look at this. This
Yep.
is this is for people. She said, no.
Yes.
I said, yes, that's for people. And then the next week we were there and they had it all set up. And it's just like being, I've, seen the stockyards in Chicago and how the cows just run down the chute. It's what they're doing. It's livestock management. That's what
Yes,
they're planning.
that's it. It's
So,
truly what it is. It's a herd management.
yeah,
We are herd, we are cattle to them, and they somehow need to manage us. And remember what it's all about. It's about depopulation.
yeah, yeah. It sure
Yep.
seems that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Right.
Yes. So one of the big thing what I see unfortunately is that, even though you teach people their rights, you teach people the Constitution, the law, what's really is important is courage. And that's what it's a hard part. And I always tell people, well, this is where you exercise. This is courage comes from faith. So this is where you exercise your faith, because faith gives you the courage that you can stand up, because fear doesn't exist where faith is, right? You have to have so powerful faith that you know who you are, why you are, and now you are equipped and you are empowered from the within to deal with anything that life brings to you, because we have to remember everything is happening for us, right? Everything is happening for us to rise into a higher level of consciousness and become the unstoppable creator and unleashing the supernatural powers within us, which takes me to your question about my program. You know, we talked about it earlier.
Right.
This is what I do with people on personal level. I help them to tap into their inner powers, to connect the mind, body, and the spirit, so you become wholesome, you become unstoppable, because you know that you have the most powerful force behind you.
Right.
And when you know that, there is no fear, there is no doubt, because you are so confident. And we have to remember that we have the law on our side. So this is what walking in the light,
Well,
walking with God means.
we have law. It's really divine law. It's all divine power. And that's what we have. That's what really where our power comes from. If we're in
That's
tune,
right.
if we're in tune with divine law, natural law, God's law, whatever you want to call it, then we're and the beautiful thing for you and the example that you've given everyone today is that here you are coming from a communist country where everyone was slaves, getting away from there, coming here and seeing us moving into that same direction, and showing us and giving us an example of what to follow. I saw the testimonials on your website about your empowerment courses and everything. What is the website? What is your website for that?
Very simple. It's my name, Lenka Kaloma with K.com.
LenkaKaloma.com.
Lenka.com.
Koloma. Kaloma. Lenka
Koloma
Yep.
.com.
So LenkaKaloma.com for the empowerment, and then the other organization, the Right to Breathe Agency, is that right? Just right?
Freedom to Breathe
Freedom to
Agency.
Breathe.
Yeah, is ftbagency.com. That's Frank Tom Boy Agency.com.
Okay, FTBA.com, right?
ftbagency.com.
FTBAgency.com. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone will go to those two sites and take advantage of what you're offering there and start organizing their own communities and their own homes, and really be inspired by what you said today, because it certainly inspired me. And I congratulate you for what you're doing. You're a real warrior,
Thank you so much.
like special forces, like commander of the Green Beret or Navy SEALs or something. So
I'm very powerful. I'm very powerful. I tell you, and it's really working all your muscles. And when I say muscle, the most important muscle is this muscle, right?
I got you.
Because our mind really controls the body and gets the body in the movement. So it's really all about self-mastery. And once we overcome all the fears, all the obstacles we think we have in life, I can tell you, Clyde, it's
infinite power, and it's
infinite power, infinite power.
Yeah.
And the beautiful part is that the dark forces know who I am.
Right.
When you are in your power, when you are connected to the source, to God, there is no stopping.
Right.
There is no stopping, because now you are actually expanding your electromagnetic field. So your energy is literally multiplied, and the dark forces cannot get to you, because the higher you shine, it's too much light for them. It's blinding.
Yeah, I'll just set in with that. That was beautiful. In that power source is when you're connected with God, it's through the heart. And they've done studies, Heart Math Solutions has done studies and shown that of all the organs in the body, including the brain, the heart has 500,000 times more magnetic frequency than the brain. And you can feel it. You can feel somebody's heart like 15 feet away.
Absolutely.
So we're not talking about things here that are not objectively provable. They actually are objectively.
Yeah, this is physics. This is physics, right? This is physics.
Yep. Yep. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure and honor, and I had amazing time, Clyde. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope you're all as inspired as I was. Thank you so much.